to Knicks Chicks family? Welcome back to another episode. We're at the halfway point of the Knicks season this year. All Star break is over. Quite boring, if you ask me. Um, I'm gonna be honest. I had no interest, but we're back with another episode. Thank you guys for joining us this evening. I'm your girl, Lady and the Chef, and I'm joined by my co-host today.
Dblox21, what's good?
Another day. The Knicks play tomorrow. Hopefully to get revenge against Detroit. Right, we're looking for them to start off on the right foot and start off strong and get revenge on teams that they should have beat. But nonetheless, we're here considering we had some. Well, I had some Wi-Fi issues, right? But we're not gonna let that stop us. And hopefully we could see the comments too, because I don't see the comments on my end. But hopefully we could see the comments, or Divalox could see the comments, because I can't see them, and that sucks. So, oh, I see a comment now. So let me make it a little bigger because I can't really see it. Can you see it, Divalox?
Ladies, let me pull it up. Yeah.
Is that Wonder Woman? Or am I can't see it because I'm on a smaller device. So I'm sorry if I can't read your comment, but we'll sort it out somehow, some way. Yeah. Anyways, but yeah, we're back. Today we want to go over the grades and mid-season grades and pretty much give our grades on how the Knicks have done so far of the first half of the season. So the way I'll do it is pretty much present the stats from last year, and then we'll go over so far what's on paper this year for the Knicks, right? And then just give our overall grades on different categories as well as players as well. And then we'll pretty much talk about the upcoming games for this week, give our predictions, how the Knicks will finish off. And then I think, yeah, that's pretty much the whole show. But let's deep dive into these grades. And I'm curious to hear your grade um, for the Knicks so far this half of the season. So last year for the Knicks, the 2024-2025 season, the Knicks finished at 51-31. They finished third in the East. Points per game, they finished ninth out of 30 at 115.8. Opponents' points per game, they finished at 111.7 at ninth as well. And their simple rating system, they was at 3.59, also finished at ninth. Their pace, the Knicks finished 26. They were at 96.7 in pace. This is last year again. Offensive rating, they were at 118.5. They finished in fifth. The Knicks was finishing fifth in offensive rating. Defensive rating, they finished 14th at 114. And then their net rating, they finished in eighth at 4.2. So that was last year's stats. This year, so far, the Knicks are at the halfway point. They're at 35-20. They're in third in the East. Points per game, 118. They're in eighth. Opponents' points per game, 111. They're in sixth. Their simple rating system for the Knicks, they're in fifth at 5.53. Pace, they're 24th in the league at 97. Their offensive rating, they're in third at 120. Their defensive rating, they're sitting at 10th at 113. And their net rating, they're sitting at fourth at 6.3. So what I came up was the summary of these numbers for this year is that they describe this team as a strong NBA team, right? So far from what you're looking at. They do on paper, I mean, paper and when you watch for the most part, when the Knicks stay consistent, um, you know, the Knicks are doing better when you look at their ranking, right, for each category. Are there any of these categories that you're surprised by, or do you feel like this is on par for what you would expect for this team this year?
that definitely, that needle could be moved just a little. I mean, 10th out of 30 teams, I wish it could be possibly sixth, even seventh. That matters. But the defense is picking up, but it's still, again, it's inconsistent. So,
Mm-hmm.
but otherwise, when you look at where they're at the halfway point, and considering these are stats for the whole season, they're on pace to remain, where they're at, or move up in the rankings as far as where they're at, because this is like the halfway point. So there's room for them to, possibly go defensive rating could possibly go up to seventh, um, because where they're at, when you look at trajectory wise. But yeah,
Right.
I definitely could see there a lot of improvement. Again, it's consistency and health.
Yeah. And I do want to mention that the simple rating system factors in point differential and strength of the schedule. So being fifth pretty much confirms that the Knicks are a legitimate team, right? And they're not just beating up on like their weaker opponents, which they should be doing. But yeah, I wanted to point that out because I don't know, some people may be wondering what the simple rating system pretty much means. Um, yeah, for me, I do agree with you for the defensive rating being 10th is a little high. I mean, uh, I don't think we should settle and say, oh, well, they're in the top 10 in defensive rating. Yeah, but that means you're not even in top five. So you're not, your defense, there's room for improvement there. And we see when the Knicks are locked in defensively, they're great, right? But then they have games where the defense is just atrocious. And I talked about this on the last episode. One of my issues with the Knicks is simply the defense. Sometimes there's these lapses and there's these holes within the defense where one, we're packing in the paint when we don't need to. There's other times where we're double teaming and they don't need to. Then there's plenty of nights where we don't guard the perimeter. So there's questions there as far as, for me, honestly, I think seventh is even still high. I would like to see the Knicks in at least in top five in defensive rating out of 30.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It's possible. And I just think that they have to lock in, especially moving into the second half of the season, but more particularly in the postseason, the Knicks have to pick up that that defense and uh lock down teams a lot more. Offensive rating, the Knicks are in third. Their offense, we know what the Knicks could do offensively. Like we've seen what they can do when they're locked in offensively. But the scoring average for the Knicks is at top 10. But the offensive rating sitting at third is more important because it adjusts the pace, right? And I think that this pretty much says this is a top tier, efficient, highly efficient offense for this team, which is a good look. Um, but for the Knicks, the pace is at a 97.8, 24th. So this pretty much says that the Knicks play at a slower pace than most teams, right? Which also means that they're extremely efficient per possession. Yes, when they play at their pace, they are. Um, and they emphasize half court execution. But I've seen games where when the Knicks can't play at their pace, um, they allow teams to dictate what they're going to do offensively and defensively, right? So that affects the pace of the game, the scoring of the game. So I don't know. I'm a start off and I'm a say offensive rating being third is cool. I'm gonna give the Knicks a B. I would give a B plus, but for me, there's too many times where it doesn't look like we're running anything and there's nothing happening. But I'm gonna give them a solid B. Your grade for their offensive rating?
Um, well, I'm gonna. Hey, I'm just gonna go a B plus. I gave that plus is because just when they went on that last stretch, when they won, what was that? They won 9 games out of the 11, or something like that. We saw what they did, where they held, like, out of 6 of those games, they held 6 of those opponents under 100. And prior to that, when they went on that win streak, earlier in the season. So I'm giving them a B plus because I see, like, what what they can do. Like you said, when the offense is clicking, and the ball is moving. The offense, again, it's not stagnant. So I'm gonna go like a B plus. So I think that's fair for how I see it, and how, why I'm giving them that B plus. It's because when they're clicking, they're clicking, and you see, how they could run a team, or out of the gym, or off the court, So, and like you said, don't take your foot off the gas and things like that. So that's why I gave the B plus.
Right. Yeah, I think that's fair. I think I'm not gonna give it an A yet,
Yeah,
but I see the potential. I see the uprise, and this team has been a growing team, right? So yeah, I think that's fair. Let's move on to the defense. Uh, uh the defense opponent points. The Knicks are at 6 with 111.9. Their defensive rating, they're sitting at 10th at 113.8. Um, their defense is above average, but it's not elite. So let's call a spade a spade. Um, and for I think for the Knicks to have elite a defensive rating, um, they have to have a better competence scheme, um, better rim protection. And some may argue they do have good rim protection, but I think that they have good rim protection when they have Mitchell Robinson in on the floor. That's when you have that.
yeah,
Um, and sometimes the Knicks, I think why they're not considered elite defensively as well is because as a unit, sometimes they're not considered a lockdown unit. Sometimes it's not all the times. It's sometimes rather, um, but it's good enough to help them win games, right?
yeah,
So, um, when the Knicks are good and they're locked in, I think defensively, especially when you got guys like OG, you see Landry Shamet playing excellent defense as well. Josh Hart at times. Now you got Jose Alvarado on the team. They just acquired Jeremy on the team. So you have the guys there who can give you the defense that you're gonna need. And we've seen what this team could do. I don't know. Defensively, I'm gonna give the Knicks. I'm gonna give them. I'm gonna give them a B only because I want to give a C plus, but I'm gonna give the Knicks a B only because it's not consistent. And that's I think why my grades are not going to be super high. They're going to be fair, but I'm gonna give the Knicks a B.
I'm giving them a C plus. And the reason being is because, again, we 10th, definitely that can, that needle could be moved just a little bit, in the upper echelon, like fifth. I said seventh, but you went fifth, and I mean, I can agree with that. Definitely fifth. um like you said, we know, like, the defense has been, like, subpar at times. We know, they're capable, but sometimes, um, you know, guys are just standing around, and just even not offensively, like defense, like, but they're not moving. They're getting beat out in transition, and they just, like, who's gonna get a? It's like you waiting for one or two guys to get crash the boards, you know.
Hmm.
So there's a lot of room for improvement defensively. So, like, I just gave it, like I said, the players are just watching. There's, nobody's not, again, look, grabbing rebounds, and Um,
They were boxing out
yeah,
at
that
times.
too. Yeah, at times. Um, so I again, that's one of the reasons why I gave that one that grade a C plus, and hopefully they could just pick it up, at the latter part of this the remaining games that they have left. We'll see.
Yeah, I agree. And that's one of the things I'm looking for the Knicks to improve on. Not necessarily the offense. I think the movement on offense, but the defense in particular. I'm looking to see the Knicks really like tighten up on defensively as a team
Yeah,
and own in on that. And, like I said before, really put their foot on these teams' necks and don't let up. It's okay to beat teams by 30 points, 25 and 30 points or 40 points, and not every game has to be a close game. Um, so we'll move on to pace. The Knicks are 24th in pace at 97.8. So typically with pace, teams who play at a slower pace, they tend to control the tempo better, which, when you watch the Knicks and they're able to control the tempo and they're not playing a team that's outrunning them up and down the floor and where the Knicks can't keep up, the Knicks typically have better control over those type of games. Even if in the first half you don't notice that, but then in the second half they're able to regain their footing, and then they can control the pace and play at their tempo. But also, teams who play at a slower pace, it also shows that they can control the tempo, they reduce the variance, and they tend to be more playoff friendly, right? Because if you watch last year when the Knicks played in the playoffs, they were able to control the tempo for the first two rounds. I thought when they got to the Eastern Conference Finals against Indiana, they weren't able to control it as much. It just seemed like the Knicks ran out of gas. And that was an issue also the year before last where the Knicks ran out of gas as well. But I don't know. I don't like the Knicks playing too fast because it doesn't look like their game. And then some games and I don't see it often, but sometimes the Knicks look like they're playing too slow. So I think it's key to my biggest thing with them is don't allow a team to dictate how you're going to play. And sometimes with the Knicks, you see that where they're playing, you know, maybe like a Houston, and these young guys is running up and down the floor, and the Knicks are getting tired out because you're allowing them to dictate the pace. So I don't know. Sometimes I'm torn. I like it, but again, I think that goes back to that discipline factor that I was talking about that the Knicks have to get better at and acquire is better discipline and consistency. And when you have that, you'll be in a lower standing in the pace and not so high up and close to 30th in the league. So I don't know. Pace wise, I'm gonna give them a C plus on that. I'm gonna stick with that, a C plus for pace.
yeah, yeah. I agree with that as well, because like you said, the pacing they're 24th, so they tend to play play at a slower pace, and sometimes that works to their advantage, and sometimes it don't because we've seen where you know um, there's teams that are run and gun teams, like you said, like the Pistons case in point. They're fast.
Right.
Boston, although we did beat Boston, but teams like that we haven't seen what we haven't run up even against OKC. We haven't run up against them. So we've seen like teams like that has, that's up in the upper echelon. They like to run and gun, get out and transition because they know the Knicks is not that's not their style, and so that can hurt them at times, and but again, we've seen when they dictate, man, that's because their offense is just like clicking. So I mean, I'm giving them like a C plus as well because that tends to hurt them more times than not. Yeah, they're 35-20, but they could. There was a lot of games that they lost and they should have won.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. But that's what I'm looking for those changes in the second half. Like those teams that we know they can beat, you beat them, and then not allowing those teams that you're in competition with. They're in competition with all other NBA teams, but what I mean by that is those teams that the Knicks can really face off against and match better with, um, like an OKC, like a Denver, like a Detroit, those games that you should take as well. So that's what I'm looking for in the second half as well. Um, but when I did this spreadsheet and it like really broke all of these metrics down, this shows so far this first half of stats and metrics for the Knicks. It shows that the Knicks are a top four seeded team, right? So it's no way they should be finished, which honestly, I already said this to you too. Like, if the Knicks, to me, it's no way you should be slipping and dipping to fifth and sixth, which I don't see that happening. But I'm just saying, like, you need to me, they need to be at least within no further than third, um, finishing off the regular season. But these metrics also show that the Knicks are a conference finals contender as well. And to be honest, I think we could come back to this when we get to the end of the regular season if they're finals contenders, which I think that they are. But as you alluded to earlier, health and consistency and those things will play a factor. Um, but to me, if the Knicks continue on and continue to grow and project as they are a legitimate championship threat, right? They have the pieces in place. They made some tweaks. We're not looking for perfection, right? You're not going to have the perfect lineup, a roster, but I think with the roster that they have, yes, you can make it happen. You can get it done. A lot of people counted the Knicks out last year, like you just said, when they were playing Boston. Even I was like, are the Knicks gonna show up and prove themselves against Boston? Or are you just gonna lay down? And they proved that no, we're not. But then you look at last year in the playoffs, they played Indiana, lost all wind out of them and couldn't keep up with them. And then you look at the game most recently when we played Indiana, who's only won what, 4 games, 5 games, and the Knicks allowed them to just beat them.
Yeah, they have
So
14, right? But they were on it. They had lost four prior to them playing the
yeah,
Knicks.
that's what it was. Why did
Yeah.
I say they only won 4 games? Listen, at the end of the day, they're at the bottom of the totem pole, and you allowed a team that just lost 4 in a row, who, for some reason, I feel like when Indiana Pacers play the Knicks, it's like it looks too easy for them. They look like they having too much fun. You know how when that high school team is playing on that other high school team that just sucks and they like, yo, we just gonna play with them. That's what it looks like when the Knicks are playing Indiana. Like for some reason, Pascal Siakam just it looks too easy for him. There's nobody able to stop him, and it's just mind-boggling to me. Um, but they're at 35-20. They're above 500 team right now. What is your projection for the Knicks to finish off at the end of the regular season?
Games, right? 30, 55 seasons, 80. Yeah, 27 more games. Um, I'm definitely looking from them to take at least minimum 20 games, and that's not a stretch. But I would say, so what's that? That'd be what's 75. I'm gonna go like 53. So maybe win the next, possibly add those 27. Yeah, possibly win maybe 18 to 20 of those games. So my prediction for what is that? I'm trying to do my math. But that would be 53 wins, and that's, you know, 53 to 55. I think that's fair.
And that's close to what their underlying metrics is saying they'll finish at. So where the Knicks are trending and moving at right now, they're projected to win about 52 to 53 wins out of this 82 game season. Um I'm see I'm and I know there's been other Knicks fans in the chat and they're like, "Oh, it's not about winning all the games and winning that many games." It's not. I don't think that that means anything. We've seen teams who have been sitting at number 1 throughout the regular season, sitting at number 2, and then they get to the playoffs and they get knocked out in the
Yeah.
first or second round, right? I 100% understand that and agree with that. That's not my main focus, but I think for me, I like the growth of where they're going, and I like that. So with that, I think to me, the Knicks should be projected to win more than what you did the season before last. Now, I'm a harsh critic. So for me, you won 51 games last season. So to me, it's like, well, you said 52, 53. I don't know. I would like to see the Knicks win closer to 60 wins. I know that's being greedy, but at least like 55, 56, 57 wins to me is would be great. Right? I know that's a lot, but I think it's doable. I don't think that that's asking too much to see them go after winning close to 60 games, which is possible. Because I think that it just shows the trend of the growth that they're going in.
So that means they have to. Wow, that's a lot of games. Because it's 27 left. So what they gonna lose? 2 games within the out of those 27. That's
I
setting the
mean,
bar high.
50, 54, 55 wins. I think that's doable,
Yeah.
you know? I mean, you got to get more than 51. You already proved you can win 51. So maybe, yeah, maybe they do finish at 53, 54 wins. Um, which would still be nice than considering last year, but I don't know. We'll see what the Knicks do. Um, the Knicks net rating, they're sitting in fourth right now in the NBA. Historically, teams that have a net rating of +6, +7, y- teams usually, I said that wrong. Teams who historically finish with a +6, +7 net rating usually finish with around 52 to 56 wins. So, I mean, it's possible. Well, again,
Yeah.
where they're projecting, you know what I mean, to where they're moving, they totally can finish, Um, but again, the Knicks finishing even top three shows that they're a serious playoff upsided team. Um, and the analytics show, like, I know people always go by what's on paper and not just what's visually on the TV. But I think so far, the first half, these metrics don't show that the Knicks are under or overachieving. I don't want to say they're coasting, but they have their moments where they trend up, and then some moments where they're a bit of a coasting level. Um, do you think that? Because speaking of that coasting and level, do you think that the Knicks will able to be consistent enough that they won't have a dip like they did after the NBA Cup where they lost those 9 games? Do you see that happening again in the second half, or do you see um maybe you lose two, maybe three, but then you bounce back?
See them going on like that slide, that losing streak prior as prior to the first half because of the key pieces that they've added. You know, they they're trending up where um they have like the depth that the match like a team like they're gonna face Thursday. Not that Sohan's gonna be the savior because his shooting is not up there, but defensively and just like what Jose Alvarado, just like what he brings when he step out on the floor. Um, I can see them definitely staying within where they're at and being able to maintain that win the winning streak and not go on so much like that slide that they did before.
Yeah. Yeah, I hope not. I don't I don't need to see them having a slide like that where they're losing that many games. That's just too much for me to handle and take. I go on my Kim Mulkey crash outs, and I love Kim Mulkey, but I don't want to go on one of her crash outs. But if the Knicks maintain efficiency for the second half of the season, their final record projection is at 53-29. So on par about what you said. Their expected playoff seed is 2-4. And their title odds, we already know the Knicks have a lot of haters. So they're upper contenders, but they're not the clear favorites. No surprise there, right? We already know that. Last year in the playoffs, the Knicks won the first round 4-2 versus Detroit. That was a great, entertaining series. They won the conference semifinals 4-2 versus Boston, and then they lost 2-4 to Indiana, which was a heartbreak. I think it's too early to say who we would want to see the Knicks face off in the playoffs in the first round. Honestly, I don't even think it should matter about who they face off. I think you should need to worry about just beating that team and getting past that round.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like not worrying about who you face and being able to beat whoever you're matching up against in either round. Um, but yeah, so far between offensive rating, defensive rating, their net rating, um, the Knicks, the net rating as well, um, points per game, the numbers are strong. Points per game, the Knicks being actually surprisingly in eighth. That number actually, that stat surprised me a little bit. Points per game. I thought the Knicks would have been a little like lower, maybe like top five, but
Mm.
118 still isn't bad. And an opponent points per game, um, that's even better because they're in sixth at 111. So I'm not mad. I'm not um, mad at where they're at record wise as well. I like what they're doing. I think first half of the season so far, I'll give the Knicks a solid. I'm gonna give them. I'm gonna give them a B minus
As a whole,
for the first half. Yeah,
for the first half, yeah, I did when I did a B plus, so I'm gonna stick with that because of just where they're at, and so there's definitely room for improvement, and we're gonna see that. So that's why I gave them like the B plus because like I said, offensively, I like what they're doing when they're out on the floor. Um, again, the defense is could definitely room for improvement. So yeah, I'm gonna stick to the B plus.
yeah. Um, I think it's fair that we should move over and do our grades for individual players. Um, or you want to go to players, or do you want to start with Mike Brown and grade him? I didn't hear you.
Oh, I tell it really don't matter. We could do start with him.
Okay, so there seems to be a lot of Knicks fans who, I don't know, they come across like they miss Tibbs to me. And that's okay. Everyone's entitled to how they feel in their opinions, right? This is a judgment-free zone here. But I am one of those Knicks fans who felt like it was time for a change and leadership. And I think the Knicks made the right move bringing someone else in. Mike Brown, I think he's still figuring it out. He seems like he's still figuring things out. He seems like he's still figuring out lineups, but it doesn't look completely like a lost cause. You know, I remember last season when and you and I remember we was having like a lot of talks around this where, remember, Josh Hart made that comment and he said something to the degree of like, I'm not really sure where I fit in or something like that. He was trying to figure out where he was supposed to be and where Tibbs needed him. And um Tibbs was still pretty like, I think even around this point of the season was still playing around with the lineups. Um and then the Knicks figured it out and they got it together, right? They figured out they got better. They figured out what they needed to do. And they started to look more cohesive with each other. But I think that I see Mike Brown still playing around with the lineups, right? Which, okay, that's fine. We made some tweaks with the lineup. Leon Rose did what he needed to do. Now you got more pieces to play around with, and he has more players under his arsenal that he can play around with as well. But I think that Mike Brown for me, um, I like what he's doing. I do like the high praise that he has for players. I like the way that he's able to carry this team to where they need to go, right? And sometimes I don't know if it's that he's saying too much to the media, um, or if it's just him trying to be very transparent. I don't know if it's too much and it's overly, but for the most part, I like that I think it's a little combination of both, right? So he does a great job at praising individual players and praising the team as a whole, but then he also does, um, he's not afraid to call guys out, right? I don't think that sometimes when he calls them out, I don't like the direction that it's done in because I feel like it should be done with the players in the locker room behind the scenes and not necessarily to the media. But that's my take on it. But otherwise than that, I like I like what he's doing. I don't know. It's kind of hard for me. I feel like I can give him a better grade at the end of the season, but so far I'll give Mike Brown a B.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I said. Well, I can agree with that. The B, um, only because this is his first season. Um, he hasn't proven anything. Um, you know, sometimes I feel, or rather, I felt when when he was interviewed and when he got the job, it's like you tell them, the interview what they want to hear, just so, and you like they say, you fake good. You present one way because you want to be the best candidate, and he hasn't really proven anything, you know, thus far for me to give anything higher than that. Um, I don't think he's utilizing Cat, to the degree where
Mhm.
he could, utilize him. Um, we still see some things, with Brunson that we saw with Tibbs, and I'll give that when I grade him, but that kind of like ties in. So I think, you know, defensively they could be, a better. They could be a top five. So these are the things that, I feel that we're at the halfway mark. You know, should have, had that figured out. So that's why I gave him a B, and I started to do a C plus, but I'll stick with the B.
Yeah, and that's a good point that you bring up about him not utilizing Cat to the best of his abilities. Or sometimes like we've seen him do it. I think he did it once with Mikkel and maybe once with Brunson where he sat them down just because he didn't like the way they were playing. And quite frankly, they were off. But then there's been like a few other games, particularly with Mikkel, that I would have liked to see Mike Brown like sit him down, but I don't know. Maybe there's a method to his madness because he'll ride them out, and then you'll see Mikel give you a timely basket that we need, you know? But then again, I'm like, that's kind of like what Tibbs did as well. But then again, Tibbs played guys 50 minutes a game. So, but yeah, I think a B, and I think I can grade him, give him a better grade, Mike Brown, at the end of the season because I agree with you. He hasn't really proven anything just yet. Um, but I guess we could segue over to Cat since we just brought him up. Um, Cat to me this season, I thought he started off really well, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then he had that little bit of dip once the playoff talk started, right? There was a lot of playoff talk and playoff talk, trade talk that was happening. And you mentioned this and you was like, these players at the end of the day, they're human and that affects you. It becomes a distraction. They have cell phones, they have laptops, they hear what's going on. And I don't know. For a little small part of me, I did think that maybe the Knicks were gonna pull the plug on him and trade him. I did think that because not just because of the talks, I was like, anything is possible with the Knicks. They're full of surprises. Like you never know what they're gonna do and what they have under their sleeves. Um, but last year, Cat actually he performed really well for the Knicks in the playoffs. And this year, he's leading the league in rebounding, which I didn't even know that until maybe about a month or so ago. Like I was like, really? But again, what's on paper sometimes don't always match when you're watching. And the reason why I say that is because me personally, I'm not a fan of Cat's defense. I don't like how he doesn't always contend when he is defending. And then also just the silly fouls too. That's another thing that drives me insane with him. It's just like the silly, stupid fouls that he get, where he has to sit and now we gotta rotate between him and Mitchell Robinson a lot, which Mitchell Robinson comes in and does his job. I'm not questioning that, but like, damn, you getting yourself in foul trouble. That concerns me when we move forward to the second half of the season, particularly in the playoffs. Are you going to be able to contain yourself and watch yourself from getting all those fouls? I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But Cat, for me overall, I would give Cat a solid. I would give him a solid B, only because I agree with you. I don't think he's being utilized to the best of his ability to fit the structure of the Knicks, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
What's your grade for Cat?
I'm a B two. And again, similar to like what you get your reasons, just what is he doing? How's he leading the league in double doubles? Um, uh, he's averaging 19.8 points per game. That could be a little bit higher. His rebounds is 11.9. Um, his assists, he's almost at like three. And earlier, he was another one that was a great passer. Remember how, we was, in the beginning of the season, I was like, oh, yeah, Cat, he reminds you of our heart. For a big, he's a great passer. Um,
Right.
he's his average, he's like 35%, 3 points, which that could, he could tend to, you know, get trigger happy at behind the arc. His free throws, he's at 85%. Um, his scoring is down, so that's why another reason why I gave him like a B, because he foul trouble. He tends to make those silly fouls and things like that, which for a big, and he looks perplexed when he's fouling somebody like, dude, you fouled them. Um,
Right.
and he tends to play down, to smaller opponents, which he should be like dominating. Um, so again, he he's definitely, room for improvement, as a player, especially for a big. Um, yeah, and he needs to be just a little bit more physical, down in that paint. So, you know, that's why I gave him like a B.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with him being more aggressive for sure is needed. Let's get on to Mikal Bridges. He was the other guy we just spoke about. Mikal Bridges is averaging 15.9 points per game. Um, Free throw percentage. Where is he at with the free throws? Um, I'm turning because I'm looking at my laptop. Normally I'm on my laptop, but we got to work with what we have.
Your Wi-Fi.
Um, yeah. So his free throw percentages, he doesn't take many because you know my issue with Mikel. He likes to play safe. Um, I just want to see Mikel be more aggressive, like on games that maybe Brunson is off or OG is out or he's off. I would like to see him step up and take over and be that guy that we know he can be. But um, and I don't know. I said this to you before. I think maybe Bridges is preserving his energy for the playoffs as he did last year, right? And maybe he's going to continue to coast and play safe. And he may have those games here and there where he has 23, 25 in a night. Great. But Mikal Bridges for me, I'm gonna give him a I'm gonna give him a C plus because yes, he usually has one of the hardest defensive jobs and guarding usually the top guard on the other team. But I don't think Mikal has given much. Has he played good as of recently? Yes. But again, the name of the game is consistency. And Mikel has been very streaky to me. Like he was like that last year, and to me, he's like that this year. He's been very streaky. So Mikel for me gets a C plus. What's your grade?
Give him a B, and again, because he's like an OG, he has a tough assignment. He's not living up to it, but I've come to the resolve that this is who Mikal is. He's his average. What is he's averaging 15. Almost 16 points per game. His rebounds is like 4.2 rebounds, 4.1 assists per game. Um, you know, he a role player, but he tends to, like you said, he plays it safe and he seems to fall back. And we just need more from him at times, a lot of time. You know,
Mm-hmm.
more than he's given us. Um, he's. I feel he could definitely give us more. Because like I said, we need more from him. Um, but I gave him the B because he has the tough assignments, and we've seen where he has come through in the clutch for us. You know, and not just I'm not even talking about last season because that's that's this is a whole new season. But we've seen, what he can do, and he can give more. It's just like, well, when, and let's hope we can see it for the second half. Again, like his name was thrown out too. During the trade rumors,
This
so
is true.
maybe we'll see a shift. With him and Cat. And I'm hoping that that's what we'll see with the both of them. To be honest with you, but I gave that because of what he does. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, that's a fair grading for him. But I do agree with you. Mikel can give us more. It's a little too he's a little too streaky for me. We're moving right along to OG, who's been out because I think his toenail came off. But OG to me he's had a little bit of up and down during moments during the season, but to me, I think OG, I like what I'm seeing from OG, right? And he's a difference maker on this team. Like when OG's on the floor, the Knicks not only play better, but they have a higher chance of winning as well. He's averaging a little shy of 17 points per game with 16.6 points per game. Um, his free throws, he's at 2.8 per game. Um, his three pointers, he's at two, just about two per game. His attempts, a little over five per game for three pointers. Um, yeah, his field goal percentage is at 0.479. But OG, I think he does a lot of the other little things, the other intangibles. Like he just does such a great job when he's playing defense and he's at that left or right side of the top of the key. And OG's just seeing his man, seeing the ball, and he could just easy boop, take his wingspan, tap the ball away, and he's down at the other end for an easy dunk. And a lot of times he creates those momentum shifts for the Knicks. And he just makes the flow of the game just seem a lot easier and simpler for the Knicks to score. So for me, I'm giving OG a B plus.
too. Yeah, I did. You know, he's like that. His defense, like you said, like you always say, this is why OG is getting paid what he's getting paid. He has a hard task. You know, he could guard, you know, from one, you know, 1 to 5 for me, and you know, he's another one that has a heck of a hard job. And just what he's tasked and what he's asked to do. Um, you know, yeah, he's missed some you know, significant games. He's only played in like 41, but you know, his what he does when he's on that floor.
Right.
Um, and even just his, you know, offensively, he's you know, stepped his game up. OG's like, I could score too, you know. So you know, just offensively, what he does for the Knicks, you know, he's among the league's, you know, wings, perimeter wings defensively. Um, and again, in his offense, his has improved. Um, you know, he's just the steals, the block. We've seen when OG's on, you know, he's another one. When he's locked in, he hit them corner threes um and just overall what he does for the Knicks. So that's why I gave him a B plus.
Yeah. I don't think there's no question that OG's definitely not lower than a B because he's to me, he's having a solid season, right? Josh Hart shooting has improved this year. Teams are still backing off of him and not playing up on him. And honestly, I hope that they still don't get the memo and they continue to do that because his shooting has been up. He's knocking down threes, he's knocking down the mid range shots. Um, Josh, to me, just has to be more mindful of the type of fouls that he's, um, you know, fouling guys. And some of the fouls are kind of silly, like Cat does. But otherwise than that, I'm happy with what I see with Josh. Josh is another difference maker on his team. He's quick, he's fast. When he's out there, the pace is faster, the tempo is quicker. He's another one like Mikel and like OG. He cuts to the basket. That's an easy bucket for him. And I like what I'm seeing from him this year because I like that there's no hesitation to shoot. You know, he seems a lot more confident and comfortable in his shot. He's averaging 12 points per game. And, you know, I like what I'm seeing. He's averaging five assists per game, a steal per game. Um, you know, so I like what I'm seeing from Josh. I'm gonna give Josh. Honestly, I'm gonna give Josh a B plus because I really like what I'm seeing from him, and he like they say he's the heartbeat of the team. So B plus for me for Josh.
Finest, like Josh Hart, the Swiss, like they say, like they call him the Swiss Army knife. For a guard, you know, he's another one that's, you know, he's a great rebounder for his size. Um, and he reminds me, you know, like Jose Alvarado, he brings that physicality. You know, he's another one, Josh, and he sacrifices his body. He'll dive. You know, it's the intangibles that he does for the Knicks. Um, and to be honest with you, he's shooting. I think he's at the 3 point. He's at 40. I think 41%, and he's shooting better than all of them. You know, OG, Cat, Brunson, and McCall. So you know his 3 pointers, believe it or not, has improved. Um, you know, and he's still improving. You know, some people prefer Deuce over him to start. But for what he does when he's out on that floor, he lays it out there. He gives his all. Um, so I gave him, you know, a B minus for, you know, for that, just being able to, you know, rebound, and you know he's giving us some double doubles as well. Um, Sometimes he, you know, his shooting can be off. That's why I gave him, you know, that B minus, and you know he makes, you know, these shots, and you like, it's a head scratcher. So, but overall, I would give him a B minus.
Yeah, that is a good point too that you brought up about him getting those double doubles as well. But yeah, I think Josh sometimes has those boneheaded plays offensively and defensively, and you're just like, what are you doing? You know what I mean? Like one of the last games they played, he like I don't know if it was I think it was offensively, it was, and Josh threw a bounce pass and it literally went to the opposing team. And he knew it was a mistake. And I'm like, bro, you playing like you haven't played in 10 games. You know what I mean? Like, what are you doing? It's just, I don't know. Sometimes you just scratch your head with Josh. Um, Deuce McBride, who's been out, he recently just had surgery. But Deuce, when the Knicks were on that 9 game losing streak, Deuce was the only one that was hot consistently. He was the only one that was consistently hot even when the Knicks was getting blown out. Deuce was the only one that had an answer and that was able to score for this team. Deuce is averaging a little shy of 13 points per game at 12.9 per game. He's averaging 2.8 assists, almost close to a steal per game as well. Um, he averages at least one free throw per game. I feel like he would average more if he would utilize his speed, which is one of my biggest complaints for him, and actually use it to drive to the basket. Um, he attempts about 10 field goals per game, um, about 3 pointers per game as well. But yeah, I don't know. Deuce for me, I think his shooting has gotten a lot better. I'll give him that. His shot definitely has improved. And he shoots this like Deuce is not a tall guy, but somehow he's learned to rainbow his shot when the defender's literally coming at him and he's still able to like make it swish right in between the net. Um, and he's been clutch for this team, even on games where he's been off. He's 0 for 9, and that 10th three he makes is a three that we need. So I'm gonna give Deuce a solid I'm gonna give Deuce a B. I'm gonna give Deuce a B so far.
Um, I agree with you as well. I gave him a B, because for me, for his size, he's another one, undersized, but he's a great defender. He playmaker, can create his own shot, and you know he's played in 35 games thus far. But in those 35 games, um, he's been, you know, on par for, you know, where we're at. So he has a hand in, you know, those wins that the Knicks have. You know, he's a great on ball defender, or you know, off ball. So like, it's, you know, he's another one that, you know, that defend, and you know, will get up there and again, you know, challenge his man. Um,
And
Definitely, you know,
rebound.
yeah, yeah, for his size. So definitely looking forward to him coming back. But you know, that's why I gave him that. Like I said, like you, he's you know, when he's make those threes, and when he's on, he's on.
Yeah, for sure. Landry Shamet, who is revengeful. He looks like he's proven why the Knicks kept him. He's showing his like, yeah, I'm worth being here on his team. I like what I'm seeing from Landry Shamet. He's averaging 9.6 points per game. Um, he's attempting 5 3-pointers per game. He's averaging about two per game. Um, his field goal attempts is around seven, and he averages a little over one assist per game. And um, his minutes played, he's at 21, a little shy of 22 minutes per game. So he's getting the minutes, he's getting the time. Landry Shamet is needed on this team because you need guys like him who could come in and get you buckets. You know, timely scored baskets, very confident in his shot. I don't feel like he's just flipping the shot off when he gets the ball. And not only that, I don't think what's talked about enough is Landry Shamet's defense. The way Landry Shamet plays defense is how I would like to see Mikal play defense, where Landry fights over the screen. You know what I mean? He's not afraid of getting hip checked and fighting through the bigger guy. And I like what I see from him. And he just, there's this focus point, and it's like this, he's hungry to win. And I like that when I see him playing out there. Like sometimes you don't see Landry boasting and yelling too much, but when I look at him, I'm like, yeah, Landry's like, nah, I'm confident. I know what I could do. And for me, I'm gonna give Landry Shamet. I'm gonna give him a I'm gonna give him a B plus. I'm gonna give Shaman a B plus because I like the consistency. I like what he's doing. And the last few games, he's been a little off on his shot, but I'm not concerned or worried. So yeah, he gets a B plus for me. What's your grade?
Thing, only because he's come through, again, in the clutch for us. Um, he's not afraid to fight over those screens. Um, Decent defender, but he's pretty good. For his, what is he, 6'5". Um, I think he was, that was nice pickup, that because remember he was vying for that spot with what was the other kid, Brogdon. It was between him and Brogdon, and when Brogdon retired, that's when they went, full steam ahead with Landry, and that was like a nice pickup for him. Um, just again, not afraid of the contact, will fight over the screens. He, even if he's not shooting that well, he still, remain poised, and he know, like you like to say, shooter will shoot, and he knows it's gonna fall eventually. But yeah, that's why I gave him, like, that the B plus. Um, and definitely he's a nice, piece for the Knicks.
Yeah, for sure. Moving on to Mitchell Robinson, who's averaging 5 points per game. He's having averaging one assist per game, one block per game, almost a little shy of one steal per game as well. Mitchell Robinson is averaging around a little shy of 20 minutes per game, and he is playing like every other game. I did pose the question last podcast. I'm curious how the Knicks are going to utilize Mitchell Robinson in the playoffs. So each round, I'm curious, are they going to do the same thing and play him every other game? And if so, is that every other game in the playoffs going to hurt the Knicks? Because maybe that second game is a game that you could have utilized Mitchell Robinson, even if maybe you lessen his minutes. But I wonder if playing him every other game in the playoffs is going to be smart and useful, or is it going to come back and hurt the Knicks? But either way, Mitchell Robinson has been very impactful for the Knicks this season. His defense is what I would like to see. If we can get Cat playing the same type of defense, I mean, you'll really have two twin towers, right? Because Mitchell Robinson to be such a big guy, I mean, he's literally in almost a sitting squat position. And when you see a big and he's able to poke the ball from a guard's hand, that speaks volumes. And not to mention, he's at least knocking down 1 for 2, which is what I'm asking for on a free throw line as well. But just protecting the rim, getting us the offensive rebounds, the defensive rebounds, the blocks, the steals, being a threat in the paint. Mitchell Robinson for me gets a B plus.
Same thing. I guess just he's a he's like offensively, the second chances that we get, defense, the rebounds like that he gets great. To me, he's a great rim protector. A lot of times they think twice because they know Mitch is there. Um, he tends to. I don't. Sometimes it works in his favor sometimes when he wants to guard when he's out there guarding, and it works in his favor. How he took on the task with Jamal when he Crawford when he was guarding him. Um, but sometimes it can hurt him because he's not the quickest. So they can blow by him, and so
Hmm.
that's why. But the B plus I think is wanted. He's definitely, his free throws is again, he has to work on that because like they doing that hacker Mitch. So sometimes that comes back to to bite us. But I've seen where you know um, Brown he will substitute the offense for the defense and vice versa. So he's been pretty quick with that. But again, it could it can hurt them. Although he did quiet that Philly crowd though the last time. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I just I just like what he does, the intangibles, and just giving us those second chance points. So that's why I gave him the B plus. I definitely those free throws need to be explored and worked on. Um, but yeah, and like you, just wondering how that's gonna work in their favor when they get to the playoffs. How is that is he still going to be on the minute restrictions and the no back to back? So that's just something that's just worth just wondering.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm very curious how that's going to work. And I get the whole purpose of the minutes restriction for Mitchell Robinson is because you want to keep him healthy because you need him in a postseason, right? So I get that factor of it, but I'm just curious how is that going to work when it comes to the playoffs. But moving right along to Jordan Clarkson, who is playing about 18.9 minutes per game. Um, he's at 7.9 field goal attempts, and he's averaging about 9 points per game, 1 assist per game. His 3 pointers attempted, he's at about 3.6, and he makes about 1 3 pointer per game on average. Jordan Clarkson, to me, I don't know if it's that he's off. Well, he is off, but I think which has led to Brown limiting his minutes. But sometimes I wonder, are the Knicks utilizing Clarkson to the best of his abilities as well? But then sometimes I see Clarkson and he gets in a game and it's like he has baby oil on his hands and he gets the ball, dribbles, and it slips right out of his hands. And it goes right to the defender and then they're back down the other end of the floor. So I don't know. And then sometimes I feel bad because I'll see him out there and he's with like sometimes like the kind of the B squad, but it's more heavily C squad on the floor. And Mike Brown has him out there. And I'm like, why you got him out there with them? Like his game ain't that bad that you got to put him out there. Excuse me. So I don't know what that's about, but I think Jordan Clarkson can be kind of like how we saw Mikal get that mojo and energy in the playoffs. I think Jordan Clarkson can give you that and be an asset for us later on in the season. So I don't want to give up on him. But for right now, I'm going to give Jordan Clarkson a C plus because I see the potential and what he can give more of. And I don't want to label him just yet as, well, this is all he's going to give you. And that's the player that he is. Kind of like how we done with Mikel. Um, but I don't know. I think that I would like to see him. And I'm also concerned because now you got Diawara who's been playing well. You got Jeremy on the team. Is he still going to get the minutes? I don't know. I don't want to see him get too camped out on the bench because you want him to stay in rhythm and get warmed up and get back into the thing. So the flow of things. So I don't know, but I don't know. We'll see. But for right now, he's at a C plus for me.
I guess for me, I've seen what I what I'm gonna get from him. And but when sometimes when he's on, he's on. I've seen we've seen it where he had a 16-point game and where he's like locked in. It's just so unfortunate he fell out of rotation, with Brown because they have scorers, so that's not his primary, role is to that's why he's in there with the B squad, and sometimes it's garbage time. Um, for lack of better words, but that's what he is. He's gonna definitely fall deeper down into that bench, and maybe won't see anything. He's gonna probably have quite a few DNPs. Because with this addition of Sohan, and then we've seen, how Mo's come along, and what he's given us offensively.
Yeah.
With Clarkson, again he's a decent defender. He can tend to get trigger happy, and so I guess these are the things that practice and even in the game that Brown see and just select not to you know play him. But as a player, you got to stay ready so you don't have to get ready.
Hmm.
He's been in this business long enough. He knows what it is, and I gave him a C because he's not like a sixth option or seventh option. He's like a B squad and just in garbage time. But he's a good addition though. You know.
Yeah, that's how I feel. Like I think he still is a good addition to this roster, and he'll be an asset at some point this season. I hope more than none and more on a consistent basis. But moving right along to as KG likes to call him, Dolan's son, Tyler Kolek. Who Tyler Kolek is just continuing to get better. I'm happy that he's getting the minutes that he's getting.
For
I
sure.
am curious how this is going to play out in the second half of the season. With Sohan here, you got Mo Diawara getting the minutes. You know,
Alvarado.
if you Alvarado, if you fit in Clarkson at some point, so juggling all those guys and getting him in the mix. But as of late, before the All Star break, Kolek was getting more more playing minutes time than Jordan Clarkson. So I'm just still curious to see how this plays out in the second half. And I think you just gotta, as Tibbs used to say, take a game by game and whoever you're facing. But Tyler Kolek is playing about 13 minutes per game. He's averaging about 4.9 points per game, um, 2.9 assists per game as well. His three pointers he attempts about two per game. Um, His field goal attempts is at about 4.6 per game. Tyler Kolek to me is a good backup point guard. I think he's being a student of the game and learning from Jalen Brunson. He's also being a student of the game and watching from the bench as well. And I think he is a Nick that you got to keep him there because he can be an asset and he'll continue to keep growing with this team. I think Tyler Kolek has good passing. instincts, right? When he passes the ball. And somehow, for some reason, and call me crazy, but I feel like when Tyler Kolek is on the floor, Mikel plays better, Cat plays better, and there seems to be a faster pace when he's on the floor. I don't know. It just seems to, I guess because he's not at that level where he can do ISO like Brunson. But also, hell, Tyler Kolek even plays better because he's shooting the threes. He's confident shooting his shots. So Tyler Kolek, for me, I'm gonna give him a solid B because he's only getting better. I like the upside and potential. He gets a B for me.
Yeah, definitely. I like that. Um, you know, him and both Mo, they're ascending under Brown. Um, they like I said, you're only gonna get better by playing. You don't get better by sitting on a bench. Um, and his confidence. He hasn't lost it. Um, when when he gets out there, he makes the most of his minutes. Again, like you said, he plays. You know that pace, and it's right up there with how like Cat, like say him and Cat seems to work good off feed off each other. Um, I I don't know where he's gonna fall at. In the rotation, he's definitely third man option as far as like the backup, but I
Hmm.
think that's still key. And he's only gonna get better. So I gave him like a B. What you gave him, a B plus? You said?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll give him a B.
Yeah. That I think that's fair though. I think when he's out there, yeah, he should go out there. You're gonna make the mistakes, but I think that he's getting better compared to what you've seen in the previous seasons. And I'm just happy that he is getting the minutes. But like I said, and like you just alluded to, I'm just curious how that's going to play out in the second half and where does he fall into the rotation now that the Knicks actually have an actual like backup ball handler, right? Somebody who could bring up the ball. Moving on to Mo Diawara, who's averaging about 7 minutes per game. I feel like this is wrong, but it says 7 minutes per game. He's averaging, and this seems wrong too, 2.7 points per game. But I guess that could be right considering the amount of games he's played. Um, he's attempting about a little over 1 3 pointers per game. That seems wrong because we know he loves chucking the threes. Um, and yeah, just about an assist per game. Um, and that's pretty much that. Um, but I like Diawara because he's tall, he has the height, his wingspan is there. He plays good defense, he hustles. He's another one like Kolek, he's a student of the game, he's learning. He seems to be hard on himself where he knows he has to correct the mistakes that he makes. Um and he reminds me, him and Kolek remind me of like how Deuce, when he first started getting minutes, Deuce was chucking up shots, right? Not afraid to shoot. And that's how Diawara is. He's not afraid to shoot. But I like his shot. I like that he takes it to the basket. He drives as well. He's so long, and he just like finger rolls the ball right into the hoop. Um, and I think he's only going to continue to keep getting better. Like that was a good pickup for the Knicks. The Knicks
Yes.
have been very weak in previous years with recruiting and getting players over here, but this one they got right. And Diawara is here to stay. I give him a B minus.
Okay.
Or actually, I'm lying. I give him a B, not a minus, a B.
Yeah.
Yeah, I give him a B. I think Mo has been steady. He's been consistent, and he's proven why he needs to be in the rotation. So a B for me for Mo.
I agree. I gave him the same thing, a B, because even when you look at the depth chart, he's like the second, behind OG. Just he's there's a lot of upsides to him. Um, he's shooting like you said, 40% from behind the arc. Um, not, defensively, he's definitely improving. and you see like you always say, student of the game, and he makes the most. Sometimes he make them bonehead shots where he's another head scratcher with the shots that he make,
Exactly.
but he'll make up for it, on a defensive end. So that's why I gave him that B. Um, and it's him and Sohan is similar, but Mo has offensively he has more you know in the tank, as far as his contribution. Um, so I that's why I gave him a B, because again, there's a lot of upsides, 3D wing guys. So um, definitely, I would like to see him, you know, get more minutes and just stay in that rotation.
Yeah, I think he will though.
Oh
As long
yeah,
as he
for
stay
sure.
healthy, for
Yeah.
sure. Moving on to GTA, Jose Alvarado, who's only played 3 games. He's averaging about 20.7 minutes per game, 14 points per game. He's averaging a little shy of 4 assists a game, 2.3 steals per game. Uh, his free throw attempts is at 2. Um, his 3-pointer attempts is at 7. And his field goal attempts is at 10. So, I mean, it's still early, but we know what Alvarado can do. He is a hustler. He's gritty. He's tough. He's ready to throw hands. He stands 10 toes down. He's going to defend whoever it is on the team. And I like that. I think this Knicks team needs that. We lost that when we had traded Dante DiVincenzo. I feel like now the Knicks finally got a real dog on this team who's gonna, I mean, Alvarado's gonna be the one that's gonna dive into the stands, kind of give you also that same energy like a Josh Hart. He's quick, and it's crazy how as many years as he's been in the league and how players are still not looking out for him hiding out on the sidelines and he'll just come up and steal the ball. But the Knicks are going to need that. And I think he's going to bring that energy that's going to be needed when maybe the momentum gets a little low for the Knicks or the Knicks kind of lose their momentum in the
Mhm.
postseason. Alvarado's going to be that energy difference maker and going to be the one to help will them to the way to a win. And I think he'll also take some of that pressure off of Brunson because now you don't need Brunson always bringing the ball up the floor. So for me, Alvarado, give him a B plus because he's already. I don't feel like he's trying too hard. This is him, and I think he's also super happy to be playing in New York, where he's from.
Yeah.
B plus for me for Alvarado.
Yeah. I gave him a B only because again it's just 3 games, but I gave him that because we know what he can bring to a team. He's like, man, fearless. He's a
Right.
fearless guard. That's a nice addition, for the Knicks to pick him up. For that backup to Brunson, he brings that physicality that man that was also needed, and just like he's that I got your back type, not afraid to. He's another one, not afraid to stand up and take on a challenge. Um, and just what he in his short that game, when he played at home, it wasn't his best game, but he did redeem himself, and we know what we're gonna get from him. Like you want to get that dog, somebody that's gonna like give it their all and go out and hustle. And if there's offensively he's not on par, he's gonna make up for it in defense, whether it's a steal and just being disruptive with his man. So I can definitely switch that to a B plus, because of the intangibles that he bring. But definitely you want to get more out of him. And
Yeah, for sure. And he's not afraid to take the charge.
yeah.
And then you know that he could shoot too. So I
Hmm.
agree. I think that was a great pickup for the Knicks. Again, Leon is active on the phone. He's active and he's making moves. And I think also because as a coach, you can't say, well, you didn't have the players to work with. You know, you got a nice variety of players that maybe not all of the exact type of players that you want to coach, but as a coach, you figure out how to make guys fall into whatever system, you looking to run. So great pickup by the Knicks. And I'm gonna finish off the grading with Brunson.
What was
But
that?
he'll be the last player we grade. I'm gonna finish off the grading with Brunson because I'm not gonna go into the other players. Brunson is averaging about 34.6 minutes per game. You could basically say 35 minutes per game. He's averaging 27 points per game, 6 assists per game. Um, he's attempting a little shy of 8 3-pointers per game. And his field goal attempts is at 20.5 per game. Field goals, he's at 9.6. Um, yeah, I think Brunson has been good this season. I think he's been pretty consistent. Brunson has had a few games though where he's gotten pickpocketed. And not to say that that doesn't happen, but sometimes I think I get a little surprised when it happens from him, or not even pickpocket where he was just a little sloppy and just lost the handle, where we've seen the ball bounce off of his knee, or went off of his foot, and you know whatever. But he makes up for it. He's still willing to sacrifice his body and take the screen. Sometimes my issue with Brunson though is the silly, stupid, bring the ball up the court and you just shoot a three that we really didn't need. While we know he can make it, I just don't think that sometimes that's always necessary. But overall, I think that Brunson has been good. We know what he can do. He's Captain Clutch for a reason. And, I'm sure he's going to turn it up to the next level in the postseason. I'm going to give Jalen Brunson a B plus. I'm going to give him a B plus.
Um, and there was a lot of reasons why I gave him that A. there was a lot. Well, again, he's 10th in scoring, at 27 points a game. He's dishing out 6.1 assists. His rebounds about 3.3. This the assists could be a little bit more, but we know he tends to wants to take the last shot, and he holds the ball a lot. But again, just overall his accolades of what he's done like this season.
Mm-hmm.
By just being named Player of the Month for December. He was named Player of the Week like 3 times thus far for the season. Again, just being named an All Star starter, MVP champ for the cup. Um, he's an elite scorer and playmaker. We know that. He's another one. He's not afraid to take a charge. Um, he seems to fight through things. Even just if he gets like an injured, on the court, he tends to come back. If it's especially if it's something minor, he'll play through it.
Right.
Um, so that's why I gave him the A minus. But there's some downsides to him. He tends to hold the ball a lot. Um, sometimes dribble air out the ball, but he's that's something we have to. I guess as fans just live with it because that's who he is. Um, so there's like some definitely some cons to his game. I said too much of ISO game that he plays in. Um, his defense is not is getting better, but he does have it's pretty decent. You know, for 6'2", hey, this is what what we're gonna get. But again, he's Mr. Clutch. He's bailed us out. Many a games, um, and his footwork, just crafting, just again sacrificing his body. So I mean, I guess that's why I gave him like the I guess a minus.
Yeah, I think Brunson to me still needs to work on the balance of facilitating and then also scoring. And I think he's still working on that. But I think leadership wise, he seems to have gotten stronger being a leader and the captain of the team, calling that meeting, saying we need to make changes, and you see the changes being made. So, yeah, I still stick with the B because
Yeah.
sometimes the ice so heavy, it slows the pace down. There's no movement. Sometimes it could be really just at a standstill offensively for me. But yeah, we'll see. And I hope that he's gonna be on tomorrow against Detroit because the last game he was off really bad.
They were
So we'll
all off.
see. Yeah, this is
It
true,
wasn't
but
him.
Brunson, I, as much as I want to say, well, Brunson's the leader, and that they go off of him, that's not necessarily true because the Philly game proved that you didn't need Brunson to shoot a bunch of baskets for them to be successful and win. So either way, though, I need the Knicks to figure it out tomorrow and when they play Detroit. Um, but yeah, this week's games, the Knicks do play Detroit at home. Then they play a back to back. They play Saturday and Sunday. Saturday they play in Houston, and then Sunday they play Chicago. This week's predictions for you?
Um, I'm definitely gonna have them taking that Detroit game because that last outing, man, they got mollywop, man. So this is like they say, belt to it, but that's what they got. So I definitely see them taking this Detroit game because, like, yeah, this is definitely a game for them to for them to take. Um, eh, I can see them. I'm gonna go. What you did? You only did the first three, right? You only did.
Yeah,
Well,
tomorrow, Saturday, and Sunday.
yeah, I'm gonna 3-0. That's where
Wow.
confidence lies. Yep.
I'm going 2-1. I'm not sure where's the one coming from, the loss, but 2-1. And yeah, to me,
Ooh,
specifically tomorrow against Detroit, they should win because the Knicks, y'all been off for a little while, sure you've been able to practice. So I'm curious to see the rotations and the
yeah,
schemes and also how they come out for the second half, like I said. So the East is looking really tight. Boston and the Knicks are like neck and neck. You got a few other teams as well. But yeah, I'm looking for the Knicks to definitely go 2-1 this week. That's my prediction. And just the consistency. I'm looking for consistency. I'm looking for discipline. And I'm looking for the Knicks to also create a gap in the standings for them. You know
yeah.
what I mean? Like I'm looking for them to not
Separation.
necessarily get to the first place and be in first in the East, but to break away from Boston and the rest of those guys and create some space. So, we'll see what happens with that. But
Yeah, yeah, that's true. Yeah, I'm definitely curious to see what type of adjustment like did Coach Brown make. Because we know Detroit they have length, and they have the ability to switch or and put the bigger defender, and that Thompson man he's worked on his game, defensively, as far as and they always want to shut him down, like Brunson down, because again they watch the film and they study him. So I'm just curious to see what adjustment that will Mike Brown make, as far as like you said they had a quite a few days off. Um, Even Alvarado said he was going to the practice facility to work on his game and and play some ball. So he's had a chance to to put in some work at their practice facility, which is
right.
great. I've been there before. Um, yeah,
You
just
you
again.
you have a job with the Knicks?
No, my friend, her husband used to work for them, and she
Oh,
invited me there in Tarrytown a few times.
oh, because you're like, oh yeah, I've been there. Like, you
I
got an
have
insider
pictures.
pass.
I took pictures with Starks, um, Hardaway. I'm gonna send you those pictures.
Um,
For real.
I'm not saying I don't believe you. I believe you that you've gone. I mean, great. Everyone give Diva Lux a clap in a chat. But um yeah, I agree with the whole time off. The Knicks, you should be refreshed. It's no reason why you should be looking sluggish. But I think you bring up a good point too, is that Bickerstaff has figured out how to defend the Knicks, and he was angry when they lost against the Knicks last year in the playoffs. And they have watched film, and also what they're doing is kind of like what Philly did to the Knicks when they were um playing full court defense on Brunson. They don't even want Brunson bringing the ball down. We of course have an answer for that now, because now I feel a lot more comfortable, when you have Alvarado and other guys who
Yeah,
can bring the
for
ball
sure.
up. But and I think it's good. Don't let Brunson bring the ball up. Let him go down. But I agree with you. The Thompson twin, he has picked up his defense. I still think Brunson could take him. Don't get me wrong. Brunson could create that space and get him off of him. But what I'm noticing so far in the two matchups so far with Detroit is that Detroit has figured out how to defend the Knicks. And I haven't seen any adjustments from Brown and the gang and how they're gonna uh respond back, and how do you get out of those defensive webs that it seems like Detroit is doing on the Knicks. So I don't know. I'm really curious to see, and I'm going to be paying closely attention to that game because I haven't seen the adjustments yet. So that's what I'm looking for in particular, not just the win, but the adjustments, because Detroit is going to be the team to beat. The Knicks are the hunted, but right now Detroit is, because they've seemed to figure out how to get these wins and break away and create space. And so I don't know. We'll see. I hope that the Knicks have figured out an answer in a way on how to beat, Detroit. So 2-1's my prediction. Diva Lux, you said 3-0. Very interesting, very confident. Anything
Mhm.
else for you before we get
No,
out of here?
no, I'm excited for tomorrow's game.
Yeah, for sure. And the schedule, it gets very interesting. Like you said, they play OKC, you got Denver again, you got Boston. There's a lot of good matchups happening with this team. So I'm just curious to see the Knicks and the depth that they have now. You've added some height now to the team. You've added back a backup point guard or two now to the team. But it's like, now it's time to lock in. Now it's time to create separation. Now it's time to continue to keep learning and getting better. The goal is to continue to keep getting better night in and night out. But just really creating that separation in the standings. Continue to put more W's under your belt as well, and owning in on the skill set and locking in as a team, so that when playoffs come, there's no small, stupid mistakes happening. Like, tighten up and get it together this second half. So come playoff time, you know, we know what each other's doing. And also, I want to continue to see the communication. I think the Knicks have done a fantastic job communicating on the floor. I'm actually physically seeing guys like verbally communicating with each other, yelling things out, and I want to continue to see that. Don't lose sight of that. It's okay to talk to each other on the floor. Like, I don't care if you're on a professional level. That's what helps win games, right? Defense as well. So, yeah, I'm just looking forward to see, like, really how they move forward in the second half of the season. But yeah, um, with the matchups that they have coming up, this is going to be a very interesting. And then I think after Sunday's game, they don't play again until Tuesday. They play Cleveland. Now they have Harden. It's a new looks team. They do have the Spurs coming up again as well. So it's going to be a very interesting second half, but these are all games that are attainable by the Knicks and that the Knicks can win, right? So we'll see. I don't know. I can't see the chat. So if you see any that you want to pull up really quickly before we get out of here, otherwise, I can't see it on my end.
No,
I
it's not.
apologize about that.
It's not. Let me pull it up, but I can. Let me just give a shout out. We had Wonder Woman, which we We acknowledge her. Rondu 173, salute Lady in the Chef and Diva Lock, salute. Multi Power Down. Um, I think he's been there. Kareem Grant. 4723, salute to the chat and to Nick's chit. APAP, APAP 1586. Rondu, he said, Rondu, I said, I acknowledge. Um, hit him up. NY and J. Oh, he said, damn, we missed out on Cam Thomas on the buyout market. Yeah, from a member from Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and, yeah,
From
multi.
Brooklyn.
Yeah, yeah. Hit him up. Tyler better in a pick and roll with Cat. Yeah, for sure, definitely. Multi power. All good wins are multi power down. All good wins are when the whole team contributes. Yes. Sometimes we need that one guy to put it down. We got that guy, in my opinion. Um, hit him up, New Jersey against that Pistons. Key guy is going to be suspended tomorrow for that scuffle they had. Oh yeah, remember
Yeah,
Beach?
beef stew and
Yeah,
yeah. Mm-hmm. But
yeah,
that still don't mean nothing.
yeah.
Yeah, I still couldn't stop him even when beef stew was primarily on the bench. So I'm not worried about that. The Knicks still need to prove they could beat him.
Campaign back with the Sixers. Yeah, we saw
Yeah,
that.
you had text me that. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that was. I think if I miss anybody, no. Oh, we did have. Oh, yeah. Oh wow, let me go up. I'm sorry. Oh, nostalgic Nick, salute. Um, Janky Jimenez, 4268. If you're new, welcome, salute. He did coach us to winning the cup. Well, yeah, Brown. Yep, you're
And
right.
then look at how that turned out after that.
Yeah. And then name Akuma Uzumaki. Respect, get those likes up and share. Appreciate you. Salute. Thank you. Yeah, I think that was about it. Yeah.
Salute to the chat. Salute to the returning um, Two Nick Chicks family. Salute to all the newcomers here as well. Salute to the replay gangs for getting those likes up. And salute to those who are just finding us. Tell a friend to tell a friend and tell your cousin as well. And if you guys haven't already, hit the like button. Don't be shy or hesitate. Hit the like button if you haven't already. And before you leave, even if you're in a replay gang, hit it like in the middle, like of me saying this, hit the like button if you haven't already. Um, Also, subscribe to the channel. Leave us a comment. We love to hear you guys' takes as well because, it's good to have agree to disagree moments or points that we probably didn't even think of or that we missed, right? So leave us a comment and let us know your thoughts. And let us know your grades on the Knicks for the first half of the season. Do you give the Knicks a B? Are they at a C minus or a C plus? I'm curious to know what you guys think and how do you guys feel about the first half and how do you feel about us going now into the second half of the season um, and the Knicks performance going into the second half and going into the postseason as well, right? So let us know. Trade talks, trade pickups, who we've acquired, how you feeling about the roster. I'm really curious to hear what you guys have to say. I'm gonna figure this out because I don't like when I can't see the chat and I don't like the setup that I have here. I like the clarity, looks great, but I don't like the setup. But until next time, everybody, I do want to catch Dope Soul Sports Collective. I believe they're on
Oh yeah.
now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they're normally on Thursdays, but when they play on Knicks play on Thursdays, they come on Wednesdays. Shout out to them over there, and shout out to a lot of the other Knicks content creators, Nick a Time Show, Tony Crow, Knicks and Bruises. Shout out to Sim over at Nothing But Knicks. Um, Who else am I forgetting? Shout out to Ron and John over at their show as well, and anyone else who I may be forgetting. But until next time, everybody, have a great night. We'll be chatting and doing a recap show on Friday of the Knicks game against Detroit. And until next time, everybody, peace and have a good evening.